Okay, so let's continue from my previous video. So I want to add more points, point B and point C, so that we can do a simple calculation in bearing using this system so that you know how to apply it in your classroom when you are teaching bearing. Okay, so to do that, I'll do the same process. Get your circle with center, radius 5. The same thing we did when producing this. If you watch my previous video, you will see how I explain this. So let's make it fast this time around so that we'll move in a fast pace. Okay, one thing I would like us to take note here, if I want to rename this, let me rename this so that you see what will happen. If I rename it as East, you will see what will happen. See, it's giving me East 1 here and East, and I don't want something like this to appear. So to avoid this East 1 appearing here, East 1 here, you can do something like this. Just click on this point. This time around, instead of using rename to name it, just go to setting. You see caption. So click caption and type your East here. Then click on this use text as caption. So click on it. So use text as caption. So click on it, just close. You see East has appeared here. So you can get East here. You can get East here. Understand, so that you will not be having East 1, East 2, and your work may not be looking confusing. So all the diagram, if you like, do 10 of these crosses here, you can have your East, West just like that. So that is the same system I'm going to use here to name these 4 cardinal points. So let's see how we do this very fast. All right, so this is the second point. So this is point A, this is point B. So you can click on it and move around the screen. You can see it. You can click on this as well. Move around the screen. Okay, so let me do the last point C before I will solve a live example from our past question of WAEC question so that we see how it goes. All right, my 3 points are ready now. So you can see the 3 points. So let me label this point, which is point C. Just rename it, call it C. So that is that. So this is point C, this is point A, then this is point B. But meanwhile, you can see that based on the size of the screen, the 3 point, the bearing, they are too long. So I can use this to reduce the size. Let me click on this just to zoom in. Okay, I think this one is okay. So this is point A, this is point B, then this is point C. You can actually click and move. So let me reduce the size of this one. Just come here, take it to 1. It will be very small. Okay, so now let's get a standard WAEC question and do the illustration on how you can apply this applet to your student in your classroom. So let's import a question from WAEC, or I will just share my screen, go through the WAEC question and use this applet to solve the question. So let's watch how we can use this applet to solve a question now. All right, let's see a WAEC question now. So I have a question I've already typed. I've screenshot it. Let me go to image. Let's import it to Geogebra so that we'll follow the question and solve it together. So just browse I saved it under my picture. So let's find the question under my picture. Okay, this is the question, WAEC. Let's open it. So this is the question. Okay, so you can see the WAEC question. Let me move all these ones aside so that we can see the question clearly. Let's move it aside. Okay, so this is the question. Let's reduce the size. I think you can see it clearly like this. Okay, so let me even use a checkbox to hide the question. Just click on this. Let's put a checkbox somewhere here. So let's call it question. Let's title the caption as question. Okay. Sorry, let me undo that. Let me undo that. I forgot to give it a name. So question. Then I'm supposed to attach it to the object. So select object in construction. So the object I need is that picture. You see, the image picture is what I need. So just click on it. So I want it to control the image picture. Okay. So what this one actually means, when I click on the picture, the image will disappear. When I click, it will appear. So let's remove these 2 points. Let's remove these 2 points. Let's remove these 2 points. So that this image will not affect our construction work, our calculation, so that we can be hiding it and bringing it when we need it, just like that. So just right click and position this anywhere you want to put it on the screen. All right, so let's see the question and solve it together here. Now the question says, let me put it somewhere at the middle. It says a cottage is on a bearing of 200 degrees and 110 degrees from Dugbe's and Manu's farm respectively. That means there is a cottage in one position. Then we have two people, Dugbe and Manu. They are trying to move to this cottage. You understand? And the way Dugbe will move, it will move 5 kilometers from his house to the farm, while Manus will move 3 kilometers from his house to the cottage farm now. All right. So, and in doing that, Dugbe will turn 200 degrees from his location and from his house down to the cottage, while Manu will turn 110 degrees from his house down to the cottage. So to solve this kind of question with your children, you can see this applet will make it easy for them to understand. So let me hide this and explain now. Now we already know the 3 points in the question. We are talking about a cottage farm. We are talking about two people, Dugbes and Manu. Now you can see A, B, and C. So let me take my A to be the cottage farm. So this is the main center. Two people are moving from their houses to the cottage farm. Look at the question again. A cottage on a bearing of this and this from Dugbe and from Manu. So they are coming from Dugbe and Manu's farm respectively, going to this cottage. So let's see. So let me change the name of this A. Let me rename it to be cottage. Just click on setting. Just go to, okay, sorry. Okay, I can actually, let me use the caption. Let me give it a new name as cottage. Let's use caption. So let's give it a new name as cottage, then use caption. Make sure you click on use caption so that caption will replace A. So let this one be the cottage. So this is the cottage now. All right, so cottage is positioned somewhere on the screen. So let's leave our cottage. Let me also remove this graph view. Let me just remove the grid. No grid. Let it be a plain surface. Then let's label this. Let me label this one. Let's go to setting. Let's label it as, let's say, Manu. Let's call it Manu. Then make sure you click on this. Click on it. Okay. Then let's label C. Let's call C Dugbe. So let's call C Dube. Okay, or Dube, anyhow you want to call it, it's a native name. So make sure you click on this. All right. Okay, so these are the 3 points in this question: Dube's house, Manu's house, then the cottage. Now let's bring the question and see. You say a cottage is on a bearing of 200 degrees and 100 degrees from Dube's and Manu's farm respectively. So that means from Dube, that means from this Dube, from here, you see the question is saying from Dube's and Manu. That means from here, I'm going to turn a bearing of 200 degrees coming to this place. So if, for example, I put my Dube on this side, and cottage on this side, in bearing, we say you start from north. So I'm coming from Dubai, 0 degrees. I need to turn 200. You see, when I turn to this place, this is 90. You see why Geogebra will make it easy for your children to understand. If I keep turning, you see 180, and we are turning 200. So you see 200 is somewhere here. That means I have missed my route. Cottage cannot be in this place. That means for me to get this cottage need to be around this place. You see, so when your children they are doing bearing on paper and they are confused, you can tell them to start from the point in the question. Since the question starts from Dube, turn this point. When you locate this point, you locate your direction. So Dube is now facing 200 degrees towards the south west direction. So when they locate this, they can now know where cottage will be because it's actually moving from Dube's farm to cottage. So what I will do now on my paper, I'll position this on somewhere here, then leave my cottage here. So let's take this one back to 0. Let's leave it as 0. Okay, so that means cottage will be somewhere on this place. So let me use our segment to connect these two, here to here. Then let me use this to position it on the direction. So you see, I've positioned it exactly. So let's move our knot away. So Dube, I've turned 200 degrees to cottage. Let's bring the question and see. So you can see, so a cottage is on a bearing of 200 degrees. You see, from Dube's. So this is Dube. From this Dube, I turn 200 degrees. You can see it, southwest direction. Then I travel through this route. So this is the road down to cottage farm. So we have done with this. The next thing we need to do, so the distance Dube walk is 5 kilometers. So let's get our length. Let's get our length here. You can see distance or length. Just click on it. Let's click on this line. So this is 14. So I need to make it 5. That means this place is too long. Just shift it up. Let me move the 12 out so that we can see when it's 5, I will stop. So 10, 8, 7, 5. You can see, let me expand this a little so that it will have some space. Okay. So you can see the distance from Dube to cottage farm. So okay, now this is 5. So we can stop here. So Dube to cottage farm, we have done it, that is 5. All right. Now the next thing in the question now is Manu's turned 110 degrees from the farm now, and he did it at 3 kilometers. Okay, let me reduce this a little so that we can see it. So now let's move this to this side. So Manu turned 110. So this is Manu. So if Manu is turning 110, you can see Manu cannot be on this side coming to cottage. So Manu need to turn 110, and 110 will be somewhere. You see 110 is somewhere here. Let's position. So this is 110. That means Manu is going to be somewhere around this place. Then how do we know the position of Manu? We need to check the distance. So Manu moved 3 kilometers, so which is actually shorter than 5 kilometers. That means Manu will be much closer to somewhere here. So if I connect Manu with a line, let's use a line to connect Manu to the cottage, and let's move Manu. So let's get the length first. Let's put the length. So this length is showing 15. Let me bring the 15 out. Okay. So this is the first length, 5. That means if I move from Manu coming to cottage, remember this is the length. When this length becomes 3, I will stop. So you come close. So this is 4. This is 3. Let's position it well. Okay, so that is it. Let me do something. I'm coming. Let's delete this. Let me delete this. Let me get the segment very well. Let's position this back. So this is the 5. So let's position this. Okay, let's put the length back. This is 3. So remember the length is going to be 3 when we are going to stop. So let's see, when we get to 3, we'll stop. Okay, so we have achieved 3. Then that is all about the question. Every other thing in the question now is what to calculate. So we are calculating to two significant figures the distance between the two farms, then to the nearest degree, the bearing of Manu from the farm, bearing of Manu's farm from Dubes farm. So let's hide the question. Now you see everything is too tight. Let me make it wide a little. Okay, to make it look much neater, and I can increase it, and I can also remove some of these labels, all this west, east, and the rest, so that the work will not look so raw. So let me just do that fast. Okay, let me. I think this is much better. So this is much better. With this, the children can understand better. So you can see it. So from Manu, 110 degrees to cottage, then from Dube, 200. Let's position this again. 200 degrees. Okay, we're talking of 200 degrees. Okay, 200 degrees and 5. So that is it. Now, if you bring back the question, okay, so now we have brought the question back. So the question wants us to find, the first one is to find two significant figures, the distance between the two farms. Okay, so the two farms, let's hide the question. Okay, so the two farms, Manu's farm and Dube's farm. So let's connect it with a line. Let's use a segment to connect it. So Manu's farm to Dube's farm. So we are looking for the distance, and they said to two significant figure. So all I just need to do, I'll just come to my length and measure it down there. So you see it's giving me 6. Remember the question, I programmed this system when we're doing it to whole number. So let's go and do setting. Let's set it to, let's say, 2 decimal place. Let's leave it at 2 decimal place. It was at 0 initially. So let's leave it at 2 decimal place. So you can see now that it's at 2 decimal place, you can see even the angle is not exactly at 200. So it's not exactly at 110. So I need to correct that now. Okay, hey, I've achieved this to be 5. See, I'm getting to two significant figures. I'm getting 5.9. So this is much better. So 5.89, which is approximately 5.9. Then the next part of the question now says we should find the bearing of Manu's farm from Dugbe's farm. So bearing of Manu's farm from Dugbe's farm. That means if I turn from Dugbe's farm to Manu's farm, which is this angle here, this angle, if I start from 0 and I turn to Manu, so what will be my bearing to nearest whole number? You see, I'm getting 231 degrees. So you can see with this, you can demonstrate it to your children in your class. You are the teacher, you know your objective. Just make it look neat, arrange your applet well, design it in a way that will be easy for your children to follow. And you can see I've done this question, making it clear for the children. Just make your class fun and your children will understand you better. So thank you so much for watching this video. Do have a nice day.